Guilt has destroyed your leadership. Here's how. This is a special request from one of the guys I've spoken to recently. His name was, can't be Eric, it was someone else. It may have been Matt. Maybe it was Matt. I can't remember. So one thing I've come to learn is that a lot of us don't realize how expensive guilt is when it comes to leadership. It's like this big bag you're carrying that if you were to just remove from your path would make you actually get to your destination. And there's someone chasing you, and that person chasing you is time. And once it catches up to you because of what you're carrying, well, all sorts of things happen, from cancer, just a short-lived life, miserable life, and whenever things don't go to plan, you feeling like you're this horrible person that deserves whatever's coming for them. Okay, so the issue with guilt is that it forces you to react like nothing else does. It's like this magnet. Okay, so guilt comes on, and then you are pulled right into it. The moment guilt enters the picture, you can be manipulated, you can overgive, you can pretty much do it's literally the one thing that can make your identity that everything else protects so negotiable. No one wants to allow guilt to go unpunished. Guilt is this, I can't believe it, it's that time already. Guilt is this thing that generally creates this environment that forces you to, in other words, really atone for things. Best example was Judas, right? Judas, believe it or not, was serving a purpose, right? Put Jesus on the cross. Why? Because unfortunately the Hebrews, Jews, whatever at the time, were too stupid to catch him on their own. So they needed Judas, someone inside, to screw him up. And they did just that. However, I can't remember the exact passage, and I'm going to find it and I'm going to put it on the screen. But paraphrasing, because I read the Bible quite a few times, Jesus did actually say, it's cool, I get it, you have to do what you have to do. And he said that to Peter too. And I need you to understand that what led Judas to do what he did and how he ended things wasn't anything but guilt. Guilt destroys people. And that same guilt is what you're carrying. The reason why the Bible says forgive yourselves is because of guilt. Guilt and doubt are your biggest problems by far, by freaking far. And I'm telling you this as someone that witnessed this. As a child, I remember guilt made me do things that a normal child would not sort of sustain, because I wanted the pressure now. I deserved it, right? That's some of the things I remember telling myself. And if you're a father now and you don't understand how to process guilt, well, it's clear that your children are not going to either. And you can be as caring and as protective as you want to be. And I honestly wish you the best of luck. But the issue is this: they don't learn how to deal with guilt because you refuse to deal with guilt. Well, they just won't know what to do when it comes. And because you're leaving them open to one of the biggest magnets. You should see this drone. This drone is amazing. Look at that. The magnet gets the person, that's you, and there's nothing you can do. Look at this. It's impossible. You see what I'm talking about? So the problem with guilt is that if you don't learn how to process it properly, which is what we're going to do in this video, well, yeah, you're leaving them open to, you might as well leave them homeless. I'm saying it in an extreme manner, but it's quite extreme, especially if you're a leader. I'm telling you now, the shift I've seen between someone who can lead guilt-free and the person that carries guilt is like they're in two completely different leagues, right? And you're seeing that in your relationship, and you're seeing that in your house, and you're seeing that working with teams. I'm a guilt recovery guy. And what that means is, the worst thing to guilt is feeling like a burden. When you mix the two, here I come. That was my story. So growing up, I didn't want to be a burden to anyone. And when I did feel like a burden, guilt kicked in like a bouncer. It was like, whoo, this guy, come on, let's go. Right? Guilt was what got me into a cult. I didn't just, because I was receptive, because I was trying to make up for the mistake I created. So I was desperate for a solution, and guilt made my defensives weak when I should have been able to recognize the patterns here. And I don't want to go too deep into cults and stuff like that, except for another video. But what I'm basically getting at here is that guilt makes you inconsistent. So the guy I was speaking to, I think his name was Matt. I have to check my calendar and see what his name was. But I made a promise to him. I made a promise to him. And what we discussed in the call is that his guilt was making him do things that he knows he shouldn't be doing normally. And that's it. Guilt is like, when it comes to boundaries, it's this thing that comes in and says, I'm your kryptonite. And it forces you into spaces that you know normally you wouldn't be in. And because you have to make up for things, you take it, because you have to sell the score. It creates this invisible. You add guilt. You basically put guilt, put fairness, and put integrity, and then mix a little bit of morality. You have the weakest leader by a mile. Guilt is the reason why some people are not willing to do what the opposition is, because they can't bear the consequences of betraying who they are. Guilt is the reason why you can gladly stay in a toxic relationship, knowing full well that it's not a healthy situation, but because you'd rather not break that promise than feel guilty in that situation, you'd rather just say, do you know what, bang. So in other words, we are so scared of judgment, it's ridiculous, and it's ingrained in our mammal brains. The problem with this is that a lot of men, when they come to me, are not, it's not like you're not being productive, it's not like you're not trying to amend things, it's not like you're not trying to make things better. You're trying to settle the score. The problem is that the score was never there to begin with. You're carrying something that is just not supposed to be carried. You cannot settle the score with guilt. Guilt is supposed to be let go. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should completely eradicate the fact that the person or whoever you've hurt or you need to atone for needs some sort of compensation. My point here is that you're never going to get to a point where you can coexist with guilt. Guilt is not something that is supposed to sit between you, your leadership, and who you are. You cannot have guilt in your camp. You need to be so delusional about self-forgiving yourself that it gets to a point where people are like, how the hell did you get back up from that? And that's how my life changed. So growing up, guilt, and the benefits of having a father when it came to this were pretty much slow to none. Why? Because African parents don't really believe in emotions. It's like this taboo topic that just feels like yuck. Don't want to talk about it, completely illiterate when it comes to it, so I'm just going to leave this out. So when it comes to emotions and guilt, and I remember my dad saying to them, I think I said this before, I asked him out, but out of curiosity, how do you deal with stress? He said, yeah, that doesn't exist. I was like, real? Okay, that's a £1 billion company or £1 billion market. So I'm not sure why you think it doesn't exist, right? Because clearly some people are making money from it. So how you not? And then when he was stressed, I saw the repercussions of it, right? So it's almost like it doesn't exist until it burns you. And then when it burns you, it's just like, wasn't prepared for it. That's just how life is. And that's not the answer. If you're watching this video, I need you to understand, please, for the life of me, this is not the answer. Okay? So, becoming a guilt slave is almost like worshipping an idol. So guilt is this big statue you've now added to the things you submit to or you adhere to. And I need you to understand that every single time you're in that space and you're doing what you know you're not supposed to be doing when it comes to this, well, what you're actually creating, it's a tally. And it reaches a certain point where once you've gathered enough, well, you're going to be a slave for the rest of your life. You're going to over apologize and it's going to mean nothing. It's like, oh, he's a guilt slave. Oh, forget about him. He doesn't mean much. Right? Guilt has this special ability of eradicating who you stand to believe you are. If think about it this way, right? Have you ever had an argument and you knew you were right, but you felt guilty? What did you do in that argument? Because I knew what I did. And what I did was, well, I kind of deserve this, so I'm just going to shut up. Right? Is this mute button? Oh, you can't speak, you're guilty. It's your fault. You're wrong. Shame on you. And I need you to understand that every single time you apologize and apologize and apologize and you start to add to that tally things that you didn't do, well, what happens is you're training your nervous system to make you an invisible person. And I've seen this so many times. The people that are sometimes the most kindest and gentle and nice and sweet, they're the guiltiest out of all. Why? Because one swift, and I was saying to the guy on the call, I was like, listen, how much does it take you for you to get out of stability? Was it a wrong text? I deserved this. I knew it. I shouldn't have. What was I thinking? You're so quick to. Your self-worth is so low, and that's the equation. The more guilt you carry, the less the self-worth, and the less the self-worth, the less you're going to have the ability to create a life that you can actually tolerate. So it's almost like self-worth at all-time high. Bam! This is the life you get to live in all areas, financially, mentally, speaking. Like, think about even people. So I'm not gonna. This isn't my field. I don't talk about this normally, but obviously I read a lot, so I'm gonna say this. Think about things financially. Guess what happens to people that are financially guilty? They give it all away. So they have to settle the score by getting themselves all the way back to zero. Anyone that's guilty has an attachment to the number 0. No, non-existent, invalid. You don't deserve to be here. You should be ashamed of yourself. So in other words, guilt is this thing that's just dragging you down, right? And as it's dragging you down, you're just allowing it to just drop you right with it. And what I've learned is that when you try to coexist with guilt, your strength is diluted. It can be almost perceived as you're being fake. And you're not being fake, you're actually trying to be strong. But the problem is, you have confused guilt for meekness. Jesus had power, right? And this is something that a lot of Christians get wrong. And again, it's not their fault. We grew up in a society that turned Jesus into this white guy that just took everything that was given to him and gave nothing away. So I'm gonna debunk some myths here. When it comes to Jesus, right, before he passed away, I need you to understand something about meekness. Meekness isn't, oh, I'm just this humble guy that's just gonna take whatever and it is whatever. No. Meekness is, I have a choice. I could wipe the floor with you, but this is my decision. I made this a choice, and whoever and the other person that aligns with this is Jordan B. Peterson. He explains a lot of times that you can't call yourself a man if you don't have the ability to do harm and choose not to. You're harmless. You're fragile. Guilt, that's what guilt does to you. It takes away your powers. And I need you to understand that until you let go of guilt, until you learn how to be delusional about self-forgiving yourself, my friend, your leadership is something that is also robbing away from the people you love, away from your team, away from your finances, away from anything you're trying to build. A lot of us are like, oh, do you know what? Good men get punished, bad men always. No. People with no guilt will always thrive, because guess what? They don't have the damp of guilt holding them back. It's not that the world is unfair. Your guilt is shaping the way you should live. Let go of guilt. Let go of guilt. And I promise you, when I decided to let go of guilt, my life shifted differently. I'm talking about the ability to make mistakes, process those mistakes, and then move on. And then move on to the next thing. Oh, I got rejected here. Oh, I sent the wrong message. Right? Oh, this guy's tough. I speak to multi-millionaires on a daily basis, and sometimes, hey, it is what it is. It doesn't go to plan, does it? Right? And when it doesn't plan, what do you do? Oh no, my life is ruined. I'm never gonna get an opportunity like this. You add scarcity to guilt. That is the perfect potion for misery. Scarcity, as in I am never gonna get an opportunity like this. And then you add guilt to the mix. I don't deserve any better than what I'm currently getting because I look at what I've done. Oh gee. Boom. There's nothing to you. You drop like a piece of crap. The best example is, probably not the best example actually, but I like Dragon Ball Z. Think of when Vegeta became Majin Vegeta and he sacrificed himself because of he felt like that was the right thing to do, or he wanted to be the superhero and it backfired. If he was strategic about it, he didn't need a halo. He just needed to be strategic. But how can you be strategic when guilt is clouding your focus? He thought he'd done the noble thing. Goku done the same thing. Remember the Cell games? He said, hey guys, do you know what? Shouldn't have pushed going that. It's not me. I'll take that. Before he solved the problem, enemy outsmarted him. Bang, he came back and he was ready to go. Luckily, things worked out, right? But the keyword is luckily. We don't understand that guilt impedes your ability to lead properly. And this is what this video is about. Let go of guilt. You may think that it's what's making you noble, but I'm telling you that it's what's making you fragile. You're speaking to someone that you're interested in pursuing, right? Like I said, this video is specifically for the person I was speaking to at the time, and he's in this space where he generally feels guilty because he may have said some things that sort of pose to being friends rather than being in a serious commitment, and he feels guilty about it. And I said, yeah, guilt is ruining your life. The reason why people don't care that much. I genuinely kid you not. If Donald Trump can be president again, I promise you, people don't care that much. The guy was in jail prior to his election. And yeah, we can say, oh, he's done some wrong things. I don't get into politics, and especially what's going on with Iran and whatnot. But my point is this. People will forget. They're bound to. What they won't forget is how you respond to it. Self-forgive yourself, not because you shouldn't process things. And I'm not here to give you a special formula. This is why I'm being very careful about sharing what needs to be shared, because I don't want a person that's doing rubbish stuff to not feel the consequences that what he's done is wrong. But to summarize it, what you need to do to get rid of your guilt and the magnet from pulling you over again is you need to create a barrier, and the only barrier you're able to protect that's going to be able to, I think this, I'm trying to do this, but it's okay, I guess. It's learning how to be delusional about self-forgiving yourself. Telling yourself you got infinite chances. You're like a kid in the playground that doesn't stop until he wins. So your peace must be dependent on the outcome you can control. The moment your outcome is your peace is dependent on the outcome you can't control, you get expectation. And because you get expectation, you also get reality. And if reality doesn't match expectation, then you get disappointment. So I'm going to do a diagram again. Peace. Right? So, just so I can explain. So you can see here, peace, something you can control. Expectation, I should have said reality, but I'm going to say it doesn't matter, it's yay. It doesn't matter, it's yay. Then you have what everyone else does, which is control everything else but you. Then you get expectation that it would work, such as, oh, we need to stop everything that we don't like, that other people have no intentions of stopping. Good luck. Expectation. This is going to work as long as we get everyone on board. Reality. Boo. Doesn't happen. That gap equals no suffering. That's how you get suffering. So, in other words, how do you deal with guilt then, right? You do not feed it. Starve guilt. Guilt is not to be fed. What you must do is take responsibility for your actions without allowing it to consume you. And what I mean by that is responsibility. You done something wrong. Hey, this is what should have happened that didn't happen, and because of that, this is where I stand. Yeah. I was gonna do a dragon. I can't be bothered. Kind of tired. So responsibility here, right? I will pour into responsibility. Responsibility doesn't equate to problem being fixed. Responsibility, problem being fixed. They're not the same. So take responsibility without fixing the problem. Okay? Because the moment you fix the problem, you enter control. Responsibility, perfect. They need to do it. Thank you. So responsibility, you have control over it. You can create the expectation plus the reality equals yay. Why? Because you can pour into this. Because it's you're in charge. Responsibility is, this is what I should have done. Okay? Stay with me now. So, responsibility, bang. Great stuff. Then expectation is on me. I am going to do this differently. Then that equals to reality, yay. Now, when you do problem fixed, which is what everyone else does, what you do is control others. As long until she smiles, I haven't fixed the problem. That's bad, because control others. You can't control that. She is not going to smile because you took responsibility. Okay? She is not going to be happy because you took responsibility. I mean, she might feel slightly better that you took accountability for what you done, but controlling her, very, very bad idea. Because then you get expectation. This problem now needs to be fixed. and then reality is not fixed. So now you start to fuel suffering, and as you're doing stuff, it's never enough. Yeah, because you're trying to the outcome you want to get isn't reliant on something you can control. Okay, so I hope that this video has helped you understand what to do when it comes to guilt. Now, one thing that I haven't made clear is this, which is, if you want to fix your leadership, what needs to happen is, I spoke about self-forgiveness, but you need to recalibrate. Okay, I spoke about this previously in my videos. I'm gonna wrap it with this. Recalibration simply means you re-identify yourself with who the hell you are. Okay, so who you are is way more important than what you do. And the example is, if I gave you car keys, car keys are neutral. If I give them to a kid, I'm responsible. It's the same action. If I give them to my wife, I'm also irresponsible. I'm joking. Okay. If I give them to my wife, I'm responsible. Right? So the key here is, I need you to understand, is the same action, but who that action is being done to, or who is receiving that action, is also very different. So the do doesn't matter as much as the who. So you understand. So who is the person showing up? Where are you acting from? Where are you at in this thing? Is this the future you showing up? Is this the healthy husband, healthy dad showing up? Or is this the angry little child that was left to his own devices at the age of 8? Because if that's who's showing up, and you're trying to control and do everything else we discussed, you're wasting your time. It's not going to work, and whatever you do will have some sort of backhanded expectation or retaliation to it. A lot of guys come and say, I want to be appreciated. No, you don't want to be appreciated. You want people to acknowledge that what you're doing is something that you wouldn't normally do, because you haven't embodied the person that's doing it. So the who is, if I am a healthy dad, and don't get me wrong, is it nice to have? But remember, because I control my responsibility, I'm taking care of what I said I was going to take care of. I don't need the outcome to be dependent on whether you say thank you or not. Right? And this is a completely different video, but I'm trying to help you understand here. The who is freaking vital. Right? Then you've got the be. Right? So that's the rebuild. So when you rebuild, because you've understood the foundation, then you build the behavior and the habits of the person that does those things, right? So what does that person that we've decided and established does in this situation? So how does the person that we said deals with guilt respond? So I am an effective leader. I made the mistake. Responsibility. My expectation moving forward is to do things differently, because I've accepted that despite my mistake, my who doesn't change, because I'm still an effective leader. Cool. So then you have clear leadership, then you have clear identity, and then you have the reframe, right? This is when you package it all together and you create a consistent behavior that can show up, or a minor reset that allows you to compress this calculation that should be going on in your head within seconds. If you want to learn how to do that, now that's the work I do with my clientele. But to be honest, I've pretty much shared everything I know on this topic to a certain extent. It is 10:51, so I am slightly tired. So it may not come across how I'd wanted it to, but this should definitely help you in some shape, way, or form. Listen, take anything. If you want to take anything from what I've said today, is let go of guilt. Okay? Reset yourself, let go of guilt. It's weighing you down, and it's going to make your leadership crap. Okay? Learn how to forgive yourself, learn how to move on, and learn how to be the parent you never had. Okay? That's the most important thing. And that's how I want to wrap this up. Become the parent you never had. Okay? What happens when, as a child, you make a mistake? You pat them in the back and say, hey, it's okay. Yeah? We'll do better next time. You give them the ability to take responsibility for what they've done. But you reconcile, you amend things, you move forward. Because if you don't, that thing stays there, right? Really hope this video has helped you. And if you're looking to work with me on a one-to-one basis, the link is in the comments or in the description. And listen, I will see you in the next one. Peace.